Okay, I'm going to go over the percents and rates quiz that you guys had to do. One of the questions was, what is 40% of 25? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a proportion. So I'm going to set up 40%. So 40% means it's 40 out of 100. And it says 40% of what number? So I need to figure out what number it is. So out of 25, what number is 40%? So this number here would be telling me what the 40% number is. So how do I get from 100 to 25? Well, I divide by 4. So same thing here, I'm going to divide by 4. So 40 divided by 4 is 10. So the answer would be 10. Okay. Another way to do it is to just go ahead, since it says 40% of 25, that just means to multiply. So I need to do 0.04 times 25. So 4/10 times 25, well, I know 4 times 25 is 100. So if it's 4/10, you'd move over one decimal or one place value, and that'd give you 10. Okay, so those are two ways to do it. Let's go to the next problem. So 25% of what number is 15? So again, I'm going to set up a proportion. So 25% is 25 out of 100. And it says, of what number? So I don't know what number is on the bottom, okay? If you want to think of it as is over of, right? So the top number would be is if it's equal to, and of would be on the bottom. But it's out of what number you're trying to figure out. So this is out of what number you're trying to figure out is equal to 15. So 15 goes on the top. So I need to figure out how to get from 25 to 15. Well, I can't do it easily, so I'm going to actually do a step. Okay, so I'm going to take 25 over 100. I'm going to simplify it. So I'm going to go from 25 to what number can I put here on the top to get to, so then I can make another jump to get to 15. Well, I know my factors of 15 are 3 and 5. So if I can get 5 here, can I get to 15? Yes, and I can get from 25 to 5. So how do I get from 25 to 5? I have to divide by 5. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. And then I would have to do the same thing on the bottom. So 100 divided by 5 is 20. Now, how do I get from 5 to 15? Well, I would multiply times 3. So if I multiply times 3 on the top, then I multiply times 3 on the bottom. So then I would get 20 times 3 would be 60. So that would be my answer. So to get from here to here, so 25% of 60 is 15. Okay, so 25% of 60 is 15. That would be my answer. Okay, next problem. What percent of 50 is 15? So I'm going to set it up. So now I'm trying to figure out what percent, okay? That's my unknown. So I know that percent is out of 100, okay? This is my unknown, and it says what percent of 50 is 15? So is equal to 15. So this percent is equal to 15, okay? And it's out of 50, okay? So is over of, if you want to think of it that way. So how do I get from 50 to 100? Well, I just multiply it by 2. Same thing here. 15. So if I'm multiplying by 2 on the bottom, I need to multiply by 2 on the top. So 15 times 2 is 30. So 30% of 50 is 15. And that would be my answer. Next problem. 75% of 32 is what number? So I'm going to set it up again. So 75%, so I'm going to change my percent into a fraction, is out of 100. So 75 out of 100. And it says of 32 is what number? So I don't know my is or what 75% is equal to, but I know that it's out of 32. So it's out of 32. So the 32 would go on the bottom. So I can't get to 100 to 32 easily. So I'm going to take a step hop, okay? So I need to figure out what are my factors of 32 that would help. So I know it's 8 times 4 is 32. If I put a 4 here, can I get to 32? Can I get to 100 to 4 and 4 to 32? Yes. If I put an 8 here, can I get 100 to 8? No, not easily. So we're going to actually use 4, okay? So I'm going to rewrite it. So 75 out of 100 is equal to, and I want to figure out how many fourths that is. So to get from 100 to 4, I need to divide by 25. So I need to divide by 25 on the top. So 75 divided by 25 is 3. So we're just simplifying here. So 75 hundredths is the same thing as 3/4. Okay. Now I need to figure out how many 30 seconds it would be. Okay. So to get from 4 to 32, we said that we need to multiply by 8. So I'm going to multiply by 8 on the bottom. So then I would do the same thing on the top and multiply by 8. So 3 times 8 is 24. So that means 75% of 32 is 24. The other way to do that, since it says 75% of 32, you could do 0.75 times 32. Okay, so then you get 10, 14, 15, and then 3 times 5 is 15, 21, 22, add. Okay, you need to move the decimal over how many times? 1, 2, 1, 2. So there's 2 ways you can do it. Okay, next problem. What percent of 40 is 5? So now we're trying to figure out the percent. Okay, we don't know the percent. So I know a percent is out of 100. And then it says it's out of how many? 40. So the 40 is going to go on the bottom. And is going to go on the top, so is 5. Okay. So now I need to figure out how to solve this. So can I get from 40 to 100? Or 100 to 40? No, not easily. Okay. So I need to make a jump here. So let's see if I can get it to, let's look at the factors of 40. So we can have 8 times 5. We can also have 20 times 2. So let's look at all of these. So if I put the 8, let's start with the 8, right? If I had an 8 on the bottom, um, 20. I'm going to go ahead and show you another way. So I need to figure out the percent. To figure out the percent, I can take these two numbers and divide them just like right here. So I can do 5 divided by 40. Okay, so how many times does 40 go into 5? None. Okay, so now I'm going to go, how many times does 40 go into 50? 1 time. So then I get 40 here, subtract, I get 10. Bring down the 0, I get 100. So 40 goes into 100 2 times, which is 4 times 2 is 80. Subtract, I get 20. Bring down the 0. 200. So how many times does 40 go into 200? 5 times. So I have 0.125. So to change that into a percent, you multiply it by 100, which is 12.5%. So those are two ways that you can do that. Let's go on to the last problem. 80% of what number is 60? So I have 80% over 100 of what number, I'm not sure what's on the bottom, is 36, sorry. So 36. So can I get from 80 to 36 easily? No. So let's look at my factors for 36. So I have 36 is 6 times 6. I have 36 is also 4 times 9. I have 36, which is 12 and 3. So let's look at 80. So I can make this 6. So I'd have to, can I divide 80 divided by 6 easily? Not that I know of. So I'm not going to try my 6's. So I'm going to look at my 4. So if I got a 4 here, can I get from 4 to 36? Of course. Can I get to 80 to 4? Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and use my 4. So 80 over 100. And I want to get to 4. So how do I get from 80 to 4? I'm going to divide by 20. So 80 divided by 20 is 4. So that means I have to divide, we're just simplifying, divided by 100 divided by 20 is 5. So now 80 over 100 is 4/5. And I need to figure out how many, out of what number would it be to get to 36 as my numerator. So to get from 4 to 36, right, we'd multiply by 9. So 4 times 9 is 36. So that means we have to multiply the denominator by 9. So 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, so then that means 80% of 45 is 36. All right, that's the end of reviewing for the ratios and percents quiz.